All right, now that we've settled in to the way we're going to distribute slim charts, this is a good time for us to look at the best use, the best ways to set it up. And I think that you will find that once you get used to it, it will be easy and pretty easy to look through our analysis, and of course to have it set up so that you can also look at your own analysis at the same time. So I had some requests for this video, the best use, best setups, and we're going to do that right now. So we send out our analysis now on the best 80 traded symbols. That's 24 futures and indexes and 56 stocks and ETFs. These are the absolute best widely held, best option traded stocks. So it's really great for investors, for swing traders, scalpers, day traders. So I think we cover a really great list, and I don't know if you exactly have to go very far out of this list for your active trading. Now, of course, there are a lot of people that look at a lot of other symbols that are outside of this list for investment purposes, or because they expand out of what we look at into the groups, deeper looks at the groups. So we will send per request charts out to you in which we don't cover on these 80, and if you just want to see them, we'll make them available to you with our analysis if that analysis is available. If it's outside of our list of 400 stocks, there's a pretty good chance that it's not going to be available. 400 symbols, 320 stocks. So we'll do our best, even if it's not in that list, to take a peek and see whether or not it's valuable to look at based on our style of analysis. Please limit your requests to 3 symbols per email. The reason for that is that we want to facilitate all of the requests on other charts, other analysis. So we're going to limit that to 3 symbols per request, and try not to do it day after day. We'll do our best to keep up as we can and allow 24 hours for us to get back to you, though most of the time it's going to be faster than that. So each trader has their own use of what our analysis is and how they want to set it up. It's going to be different setups for every single person, and different ways that you're going to save these grids into workspaces. You essentially can save the grids any way that you want, and then put on those workspaces your own charts on there also, so that you can compare your own work. So we're going to look at saving and creating workspaces, how you review them based on these 16 chart grids with 8 symbols on each grid, and how to look through the analysis on there. Give you some examples of additional things that you can add on the workspaces. My suggestion to you is that you set up a workspace with the 3 futures grids, the 24 symbols, if futures is what you wish to look at, and the 7 equity grids separately. The reason for that is because these are very large files, and if you don't have a big enough computer, and I do, it even slows down mine a little bit if I have all 10 of these grids open on one workspace. So there's a lot on there. So I suggest you save them. The largest amount would be 3 futures and 7 equities. Now, some people have already written to me they prefer to save 1 chart grid per workspace. So in other words, you might have a workspace that goes through the futures that are our first grid, which is currencies and the bonds, treasuries. So you might just name it currencies and treasuries, and just have that 1 grid on there, and save the workspace, and then open another one for the other 8 symbols in futures, and another one for the third 8 symbols if you're comfortable doing that. You might not even be interested in the currencies and the bonds. Maybe you just want to look at the stock market or the energy market. So you would just save that particular grid on that workspace. Same thing goes for the equities. You just might, look at the first 8 and save those on one workspace, and look at the next 8 and save those. And then you can, go through your workspaces and have them named properly so that you could just quickly open them up and have those available to you. Now, each week we're going to update these, so you're going to get 10 new grids. So the way to do that, to update them, would be to go to that workspace and then essentially download and replace your old grid. So you'll open up the new grid and you'll X out the old grid, and then you'll save the workspace again and resave it. So you might only do that with the ones that you're interested in, but that's a little cumbersome, and I would guess that the most that it would take is about 10 minutes to replace all of them once you get the feel for how to do that. Do not resave our grids. If you do that, then you're going to lose the drawing sets that we sent to you. And then all of the drawings will be gone. So if you try to resave them as your own name, then those grids are going to look for your own works, your own saved drawing sets. That's one of the issues based on the way Thinkorswim changed the way they save and share drawings. So you have to save them as the way they get to you. And we've now updated them also. I'll put the slim ribbon on there on the daily charts because we think it's so valuable. That I think is all the information that you need. Remember, you can write to me, slim@slim.com, and let me know what's working, what's not working, and what you need or what your feedback is. So let's take a look at a couple of workspaces so you can get an example of how I set these up. I'm going to switch over now to a workspace that has 3 futures grids on it and give you an idea of how I set this up. Is if I had only one screen. So, I have multiple screens here, and I think that most of you do, so you would set it up a little differently, but I'm just giving you an example for how to set up a single screen with my charts and maybe some other custom charts that are your own. So here is that chart right here, and that is my screen and saved workspace that I have on a single screen with futures. Now I know it looks messy to you when you open it up, but what I've done here is on the left side here is the all 80 symbols right there, and you can download this right on our site. And if you look at where I just scrolled down to, you can see there that the bottom of that has, from this point right over here where the indexes are, all the way to over here where coffee is, are all 24 symbols that we look at there, plus the Dow Jones, which we usually don't include in the analysis except when we're doing monthly and long-term analysis. So you can see that that's easily accessed at that point. Now, I do not have any linkage in here. You see, these are not linked. There's no color on them. And the reason for that is because we don't want them to change when you click on these. So don't try to link these charts when you do that. You can, though, however, link up other charts. Before we do that, though, I'm going to show you the ease of how to use this. So there are 8 symbols on here. They're all the currencies plus the 2 on the bottom right are ZB and ZN. So ZB has got, as they all do, weekly and daily. And you can see in here dollar, euro, British pound, Japanese yen, the Aussie, the Canadian dollar. So we also sometimes look at the Mexican peso, but it's not mainly in our list of currencies that we look at. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on a white space on this chart right there, and I'm going to go to maximize cell right there, and I'm going to open it up, and there you can see now our work is now opened up. So the focus now is, which symbols do you want to look at, and you can see the arrows right up over here. That is how you navigate across these 16 charts. Now, of course, you can minimize this. Now, I'm going to minimize it by double-clicking on this blue space right up on the top, and that goes back down. And let's say you wanted to look at the euro currency on the daily, so I'm just going to right-click there and maximize the cell, and there is the daily. And you can see all of our work in there with the slim ribbon, the support zone in there, and all of the updated information that we have for this week. Now, if I click left, I'm going to go to the euro on the weekly analysis, and of course I have it zoomed in, so you can zoom out, as you can see right there, and I have a note to expand to 10-year if that's not. To get the right cycle alignments, you can just come back in and see all of our support, resistances, projection that you see in here. And then I can just continue to click the right arrow to go back to the daily. If I keep clicking, there is the British pound, and there is the British pound on the daily. Note that breakdown that you can see right there that occurred of that rising wedge or bear flag, which we had noted in there. And you can see all of our analysis is fairly easy to access. Now, I want you to see something here. Now, I'm going to show you the tiling that I have accustomed to using. And if you look right over here and right over here, there are overlaps. So I leave a little space for overlaps. And I have the same thing on the bottom right over here for easy access on other charts, assuming you had only one screen or you had so many charts that you wanted to do some tiling and overlapping. So if I click right over here, I'm going to open up the other grid, and there you see light crude all the way through coffee. If I click on the next one over here, you're going to see S&P 500 through copper. So in other words, it's the indexes and the metals. So I have all of them, all three of those index charts on one workspace. With 8 of the individual symbols on each one. So if I wanted to look at the daily S&P 500, I just maximize that cell, and there's our information on it. If I want to look at the weekly, I go left. If I want to look at the daily, I go back right. And if I want to keep going through the NASDAQ daily, the RUT weekly, and the RUT daily. And again, you can see all of our cycle work and all of our projections in there. These projection oscillators tend to pop up a lot, so you might want to pull that down the way I just did, as you can see right there. So there you see, and by the way, we pulled the volume indicators out of this, and we also, because we don't have the volume indicators, we also do not have the accumulation distribution. So if you want that, you would put it on a different chart on daily if you wanted to get that. So we took that only off of the futures because they were really busy, and we figured you could do it on another way. So again, if you look at the left, you can see all of these futures, those symbols right over there on the left. Now, I have some linkage in here, and let's say that, I also wanted to see, for scalping purposes or swing trading, another chart. I just clicked on the bottom right there. So I had that overlapping going on right here. So this chart opened up because I clicked on it way, way down over here. And I have another one in there also. So if I want to open up the other chart right over here, I can just click on that. So what do I have here? It's really a scalper's 3-chart grid with 2-hour chart, 30-minute chart, and a 5-minute chart right there with different studies on it that you can see. And these I have linked. So in other words, if I'm looking at the NASDAQ right over here and I want to see the intraday, or I want to see the momentum, now I'm going to click on the bottom right here, and it's going to open up my momentum chart. So here I have a daily and an hourly on the bottom. So I can have the scalpers or day traders grid right there. I can have momentum right over here. And if I want to go through it and look at the RUT, you can see the RUT there. and you can go back and forth there, or you want to see the daily, you just click on the daily rut up here and maximize cell right here, and there you could see you have the daily rut. If you want to go back to these, you can do that right over there, and you can minimize this just by clicking on the top, and it goes back. So you can see the great flexibility that you have using it this way. So that is a look at a good idea for how to set up a futures workspace using the 3 futures grids and some other charts and the way to link them up. And you can actually see how that is very useful, and you just can, let's say you have two monitors, you can just sort it out any way you want. But again, I suggest that you create the workspace, you open up these grids into that workspace, and then save it under the name. And then each week when you get the new grids, all you do is go in and close them out on this workspace, open up the new grids by using the link that you get, and then resave the workspace. For these 3 charts, I don't think it'll take you 3 minutes to do that. So that's a look at the futures workspace, or a variation of it that I think is going to be useful if you set it up this way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over, and I'm going to open up another workspace in here, and I'm going to call it, it's called my best use equity workspace. And in this one, I have 7 grids opened on there, and that is all 56 of the best traded stocks and ETFs. And you can, again, not build your workspaces this big. You could do it with one workspace named for each of the 8 stocks on each one, if that's the way you choose to do it. Now, I did this one a little bit differently because I'm going to, let's assume it's for an option trader, right? So what I did instead, and now I'm going to open up this workspace for you to see. There it is right there. So now you'll note that on the top left is the workspace that is, for me, I have that named focus list right there, but it's actually the rankings and setups list, so I named it a little differently. But you can see we have all of the stocks right over here, all the way, all 56 of them. All I have to do is scroll down, and I have access to all of them. Now again, this is as if I have only one screen. So there's your all 56 of the equities there that I put in there, and that's the way I will link and access to some other charts I put in here. So again, let's say you wanted to look at Apple weekly and take a look at our cyclical work in here. You can see in here that Apple turned down, and it based on the cycle analysis in here, it points to sometime late in June or mid-July for that low to occur. You can see the cycles and our projections. You can see the 50% extension right there. So all that information is in there, and that's an intermediate 23.6%, which comes off of this whole move in here. And if we want to look at the shorter term in there, all we have to do is I'll just remove my arrows, and I'll click once to the right, and here's Apple on the daily chart. You can see it had that bear wedge, and then it broke down with the big down day, and now we're looking for it to probably hold in this support area and then rally up, and then probably have another move down, because of course if I go to the left, you can see that low isn't due until late June or July. So any bounce that came into here in early June is probably not going to hold. So there's Apple, and if I just keep going to the right, there you can see Aetna. And Aetna on the daily. Now again, I'm just going to grab this and then move it down, and here you can see the Amgen right there, and Amgen on the daily. Note it's touching that 89-day moving average. And here is Amazon, which of course has been just a monster. See, it hit that fib extension area there, and there are the retracement levels down there, and we're looking for a decline into August. We believe that is a pretty good top right there. And then you could see as I look in here and pull these down for you to see right here that that was a very large reversal. By the way, that's a bad tick. The low is about 954 on that day. I tried to fix it, but it wouldn't fix. So you can see a decline due in here through late June potentially. And here is the Avago, and we have the other, we have multiple cycles marked off for you there, and there's the Avago daily. So you can see how easy that is to access. So, let me go back to Apple in here, which has great option trading, right? So I'm going to go over here to Apple daily. You could see that. So if there was a rally in Apple here, I think it would be a sale. So let's say that you wanted to come here and you wanted to look at Apple options. Well, there you go. I have the Apple montage opened up on the bottom. So all I did was click on that overlap on the bottom right there. And you can see that I had that right in here, and that's where I clicked in order to open it up. And I have another one right over here, which is also a swing trader, or I'm sorry, scalper grid. We'll open that one up right there, and you could see 2 hour and 30 minute and 5 minute if you were an Apple scalper. And of course, you could create this with any thing that you wanted. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm highlighting all of my stuff that's in there, right, that you can see. And what I want you to see is that all of the grids, all 7 of them, are very clear to me. So if I wanted to, let's say I was interested in trading something in gold, so I was bullish and I wanted to buy a gold, it happens that Newmont and PAS are there. So all I'm doing is highlighting it. You could see that it came up there, and now it opens up that grid right there, and you could see that. And let's say I wanted to look at Newmont right here. I'm clicking on the daily, I'm maximizing the grid, and there you could see it had a big rally right there, and it pulled back into the minor support. I'm guessing that's going to hold, and it's probably a buy in the next couple days. So that's the daily chart. Let's look at the weekly. You could see the weekly advance looks like we're projecting it up to that resistance zone around $38. So as long as it didn't break under this level at 32, you can see all of that in there. If it broke under 32, the rally would be over. By the way, that is a VTL, valid trend line, so we had that highlighted, and it alerted us when it got above that, and we're hoping that it doesn't fail. So there you can see that grid, and here you could see all of the other choices of grids. And again, you can save this any way that you wish. Now I'm going to minimize this again, and I'm just going to look over here, and you could see that, if you, right now I have this linked, so it's on Apple, but if you wanted to trade Newmont after looking at that, I just come down here to Newmont. NEM, you can see it right there, and I'm going to click on it, and then it opens up your option montage onto those options right there. And then if you wanted to link, I don't have it linked on here right there, but if I wanted to link this one, all I do is go to orange because the other one is on orange, and these are all on red. So I'm just going to make them all orange because that's where I have it set up on the left. There it's all orange, and you could see that you can click on LVS and you get that set up, and just click on the very bottom right here. There's your option montage right there, or I can cover it all up and go back to the charts. So it's actually incredibly easy to use. It can be extraordinarily functional for you. I get that putting up new charts once or twice a week is it's work, it's cumbersome. Well, so is us creating these every single week. And I got to tell you that the servicing this this version of our level 4 is incredibly is a lot of work for us, really, because we want to give you the best service that we can, and also other charts if you're interested in them, right? So we keep these up to date, and if something really gets crazy and some big moves, we can just pick one of the grids or 2 of the grids and just send you 1 new grid or 2 new grids and say there's some changes on here and worth looking at. So I think you can see that this is easy to use, some variations and setups, and I have a feeling it's going to take a little getting used to. I'm already used to it, and so is RV, so we're getting in gear on this, and because we want to move forward with this high quality product. If you have any questions, send them to me at slim@slim.com or through your dashboard, email Slim. You have any suggestions about workspaces or other setups that you're using and you want to share them, well, let me know that too. And somewhere down the road in 2 or 3 weeks, I'll create another video and share what you have shared. And your successes in using this, or challenges and ways that you are using it best to fit for you. So I think it's very usable, and when you get comfortable with it, I think that you are going to think so too. That is our best use update on Slim Charts, and I'll see you soon.